Hey everyone, it's Rain, and today I am going to be doing a how-to video on perler beading for beginners. So what we will need to start are a few different supplies. First thing we need is a pegboard. And the pegboard allows you to put your pattern down. So the second thing we need is a pattern. So I have patterns here, but I am actually going one of these guys here, so I'll probably be making Freddy. And most patterns you can find online. Game sprites are a good way to start if you're into gaming or anime, but make sure that you know who made the original sprite so that you can give them credit. Especially if you're planning on making this a hobby so that you can sell them later. This little guy I'm just making on my own, just to keep, because I'm a huge fan of Five Nights at Freddy's. So we need a selection of beads. So these are the regular size beads. So I think these are 5mm. So these are just all regular size perler beads. You can get minis too. I have minis in here, and these are really, really tiny. The next thing you're going to need is some parchment paper. I have regular parchment paper here. I suggest going to the dollar store or grocery store to get parchment paper, because the paper that you get with perler bead kits isn't very good, but I mean, if you're just starting out, you can use what you have available to you. And the next thing you'll need is an iron. So this is just a regular iron. I only use it for my crafting. This guy doesn't get used for clothing, and you can see why on the bottom. I have a lot of residue on here from crafting projects that I've done. I know a lot of people that are really serious about their perler beading hobbies have a iron specifically for beading, but as for me right now, all I have is just my crafting iron. So those are the 4 things that you need to get started for perler beading. Let's go ahead. We're gonna open up our pattern here, and if you'd like, you can watch along while I go ahead and make myself a little Five Nights at Freddy perler bead project. And something that is optional, but you don't need it, they come in very, very handy, are a set of tweezers. Now these guys are beading tweezers, so they have a nice little scoop on the end. And Perler also sells pairs of like their plastic tweezers that are made specifically for their perler beads, but I like these guys. They do the job quite well. So what you need to do is you need to find where on your pegboard you need to start your project so that you have enough room for all of your beads. These pegboards are 29 across by 29 down. Those are the standard ones that you can get in perler bead kits. Some of them also come with these little guys. These ones are quite small. In one of my kits I got little colored ones that were different shapes. But I prefer using the large one, just so you know that you have ample room to do your projects. Now some projects will be quite large, and that's why they have these little things, so that you can take other pegboards, which I have enough, and you can together make larger projects. That. But for this project, we should only need one. And you can usually find your beads either in like buckets that come with assorted beads, or the easier way to do it so that you know you don't have to pick out specific colors or to get the colors individually like this. So the first thing I'm going to do, which is the easy part, and that's just outlining the Freddy figure, and then fill in with the other colors. So for this guy, I don't have a grid to kind of gauge, so I'm kind of just eyeballing and figuring out where the best place to start is. When you're starting, it's easier to start with a grid, so that you know exactly where you're going to place your beads. So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 or 7 from the edge should get the entire thing on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I actually placed it at a good spot, so we're good. I mean, if you're feeling fancy, you can definitely pick up more than one bead at a time. I usually find it easier just to do one at a time. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going 8 across. 4, 5, 6. Oop, that didn't. Oh. 7. And 8. There, so we got the bottom of Freddy with his 2 little feet there. And actually, let's, so you can follow along here. Stick the window up there. So we're doing Freddy up in the top left-hand corner. Now we need to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 more. And if you have perler beads and you just want to follow along and make a Freddy as well, you can definitely do that. I'm going to do the same thing on. So we should have on each side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On 4, we had 2 at the bottom, so we have 6 at the bottom for his little body. Now we can start to do the head. Each side needs 3. So it should look like an upside down top hat right now. And for the sides, right before we get to the ear, how many do we need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because it's a chibi Freddy and he has a giant head. So what we're going to do for this one is, it's going to be not right beside it, kind of on a diagonal right above. That's where we want to start those. Do the same on the other side. Should have 10 on both sides. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. So now we can start on the outline of the ears. I'm going to go 2 more here. Side for the beginning of the ear, we have then we are going to go up 3. And these guys aren't going to be right on top. It's kind of going to be diagonal so that it makes it look a bit more rounder. Side as well. We're starting to get that cute little Freddy shape. And we're going to do the same thing for the top. So try to be on a diagonal going on the inside here. 3. go. So we're almost done. Finish off those ears. We're just going to do it on an outside diagonal. I guess, well, closer to the inside of the. Stick another one there. Down one more. Same thing to the other side. That bead did not want to come with me. There we go. So there are Freddy's cute little ears. Then, this part's easy. So you just have to go all the way across. Close off the top of the head. My beads decide that they want to go there. Now, if you're having that issue with your beads and you find that they're kind of rolling around everywhere, here's a little hint for you. If you go to one of your local craft stores that sells a lot of beads, this is a beading mat. So this is meant for round beads so that they have a bit more of a grip and they don't roll away. So you can use that. I don't use it because I don't have a very large space currently to work with. So that's why I just use the lid of my giant bucket of Perler beads. That just means sometimes I have to chase the beads around the bucket lid. Alright, so we have the outline of Freddy. And I'm running out of black beads here for his hat, so let me grab some more black beads. I know it's going to be a little bit hard to see in my limited space. This is what I do with my beads. Go in a case, all the colors are sorted, makes it a little bit easier. There we go. Put that top hat on top of Freddy. Looks like we're going in 1, 2, 3, the fourth one over. 1, 2, 3, 4. The bottom of the top hat there. 2, 3, 4. And right there. And all we have to do is just connect the beads. And we're going to make the top of his hat. I believe it just goes up to. And then we just fill the rest of his hat with black. Unless, of course, you don't want him to wear a black top hat. Fill it in with whatever color you would like. So there we go. We have our outline of our cute little chibi Freddy. So now we can go ahead and we can start filling in the different colors. So I have some brown here. I also have some tan or some light brown. Now if you don't have that, you can also use white to fill in his belly and his mouth or nose. And then I didn't have some lighter blues, but I do have some darker blues and some greens that I'm going to use for his eyes. And I didn't have any darker brown for the inside of his ears, but that's okay. I'm just going to use some cute little pearl pinks. Go ahead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in the pearl pink first for his ears, because they're just little squares. Just remember, this is your Perler project, so you can fill it in with whatever color you want. Then all we need to do is just go around and fill the hole. Around. Sometimes your outline perler beads will like to try to escape. This part you gotta be a little bit careful when you place them. And that's where the tweezers come in handy, because I know when I try to use my fingers, I usually end up making a big mess. Beads everywhere. On there. There we go. Okay. So we have Freddy's ears. So let's go ahead. We're going to fill in the head because the top part is just brown, so that's pretty easy. Put in a line of brown, and that's where picking up more than one kind of speeds up the process. I know some people will pick up 5 or 6 beads at a time. In my case, my fingers are not that dexterous. I usually end up just throwing beads everywhere. There's one more row before we start on the eyes. Okay, so we have Freddy's forehead done. The next row, we're going to start to incorporate Freddy's eyebrows. Brown one. There we go. 2 black ones. Easier way to do this so that you don't have to count. Do the same thing on the others. 1 brown one. 2 black ones. And then you can fill the rest of that line in with... There are Freddy's eyebrows. We're going to do one more line that's going to be all brown. There we go. And now we can start on Freddy's eyes. We're going to do the same thing we did with eyebrows. One brown. 2 black. Do the same thing on the other side. Then fill the line brown. Apologies for my cat, he has the zooms currently. Running around like a crazy kitty. This one, black here. Put another one down there. 2 down on each side. For this line, this is where we're going to start filling in the color of his eyes. Me, I chose kind of a greenish blue kind of aqua color instead of a light blue. You can choose whatever color you would like for the eyes. Shadow of the eye, dark blue. Whites in there for the shine. There we go. Those are Freddy's eyes. I believe we have one row that we can fill in with just brown. Start on his nose. Me, I chose kind of a lighter brown tannish color. You can choose white, again, if you don't have that. Heck, if you don't want to make it white, you can make it purple or whatever color you would like to make it. Freddy's head is almost done. Fill in that last line for his head, all with brown. Okay, so we're almost done. We just have his body left to do. And then we can go ahead. We can start the, I guess not quite as fun part of it, but if you need help, definitely ask an adult because the iron will be very hot once you start ironing everything together. And there we go. We have cute little Freddy. He is ready to be ironed together. So every iron is different. Make sure that you become accustomed with how your iron heats up. For me, I find that the best setting for my iron is cotton setting. So it's not quite the highest setting on there, but it's really close to that. Just let that heat up. Remember to grab your piece of parchment paper. What you want to do is, mine takes a little bit to heat. Once it heats up, what you want to do is just lay the parchment paper gently over your beads so that they don't fly all over the place. And I will be back once the iron is all heated up. Okay, so it looks like our iron is all heated up. So now we can start fusing our beads. What we want to do, make sure that we don't move any of the beads underneath when we put the iron on. We want to gently set it on top. And we want to make sure that the iron is always moving so that we get an even melt of our perler beads. And you can see that when the beads underneath start heating up, you can actually see them stick to your parchment paper. Depending on the size of the project, will depend on how long the ironing process takes. I have actually done some larger perler beading projects where it's taken probably about 30 minutes to get all of the beads fused together. So with any perler beading project or any plastic beading project, doesn't have to be perler beads. If you prefer using Hama beads or any of the other brand of beads that are out there. I know Perler is a little bit, I guess, short on color supply. It doesn't have nearly the variety of colors that some of the other companies have. But a lot of people that make pixel art with fusible beads usually use Perlers or a combination of Perlers and other brands. As you can see, some of the beads here are starting to fuse together. Not quite seeing the holes as much. So that means that the beads are melting and they are fusing together. Might take a little bit more finesse to get the parts that stick out. So the ears and the little tiny feet at the bottom might take a little bit more time to ensure that when you're pull your project off of the pegboard, it's not falling apart on you. You can always check on your project. Just make sure that you let it cool down a little bit so that you can peel the parchment paper away from the project without any of the beads coming up with the parchment paper. What we're going to do, going to be very, very hot. If you want, you can take a tool. Start slowly peeling the part. There we go. So now we can see these little guys at the bottom, like they haven't really fused all the way. But what I like to do at this point, if you're very careful, flip it over, slowly take it off of the pegboard. Because you don't want the pegboard to get too hot, because what happens is it starts to kind of deform there. Just be really careful with your pegboard. Once you have the beads pretty good, then you can pop it off and you can continue melting your beads on a flat surface. So what we want, ideally, is we want all the beads to look like this. We want them to look solid so that it looks like a piece of pixel art. You don't want to press too hard because you don't want your little beads to distort. Just going to continue to give it a good iron around in some of these places where they haven't quite fully fused. So that's usually around the outside of it. I mean, if you like, you can stop here if you don't mind having partially fused perler beads that still have the holes in them. It is totally up to you. Now what you can do, a little bit easier during your work than it is when it's on top of the pegboard still. I do know that there are still some holes along the outside. Those are a little bit harder to get a full melt on them. And I noticed that with some of the beads, some of them will melt a lot easier than others. So just experiment with your beads and your colors. Still have a few holes around the outside. So I mean, if you don't mind that, you can go ahead and call your project finished. So congratulations, you made a cute little chibi Freddy from Five Nights at Freddy's, and you can put it on the wall with a little bit of painter's tape or sticky tack or anything like that. That won't hurt the paint on the wall. You can even frame it in a little frame, or you could even put a magnet or a pin on the back and you can put it on your bag or on your fridge. So that's how you start it with perler beading. If you like the video and you want to see more perler beading videos, please give me a thumbs up and a comment. If you have any questions about perler beads or perler beading, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. And I will see you guys next time, okay? Bye!